True evil never changes. It just sits and lies in wait, making you think that it's gone before it just inevitably comes back. Ruby Amethyst is back, and I'm playing the Ruby Amethyst deck versus my princess list this week to see if my princesses stand a chance into the big bad evil guy, if you will, of set 2, which is kind of the Ruby Amethyst archetype here. It is significantly changed from how it used to be, so let's go into the deck list, and we will see how they both look. Okay, we're going to start with my princess list. I'm going to be real optimistic about it. So looking at my princess list here, it is relatively, or very much unchanged from the previous versions of it. I have a whole bunch of princesses and a whole bunch of cards that do the support mechanic here. The idea behind this list is that I can support my own characters if I want to protect them with Rapunzel. I can support my own characters if I need them a little bit bigger to challenge into something, or ideally, I can support one of my opponent's characters to get rid of it and banish them with either Mini if they are exerted, or the World's Greatest Criminal if they're not. It's been a pretty nice and effective list. I've got ways to pump up my princesses, like the Beast. I've got ways to gain passive lore with like the Sensor Core, and I've got a little bit of card draw, maybe not as much as I'd like, but as much as I could fit in with the Mulans and the Sensor Cores there. So this is my list. This has been a fun deck. I've really enjoyed it, and let's take a quick look at the Ruby Amethyst list. So this is the Ruby Amethyst list that won the CCQ in Las Vegas. It is a nice and good and consistent deck, shocked with kind of like how powerful it ends up feeling. Where previous versions of Ruby Amethyst were very much like a bounce heavy one, so you did kind of a lot of that bounce control, this seems to be solidly a mid-range deck. It has a lot of kind of good characters early on, each for kind of like a different purpose, whether it's the Diablos to get you a little bit of lore and be able to draw you cards when it's challenged, or the Tinkerbells to be able to challenge into some of the aggro decks kind of early creatures. It's got something to do early game, and then the mid-game section, we're looking at more like Lumieres to pump up our characters so they hit harder, Dumbos to draw us cards, or the absolutely amazing feeling Cheshire Cat to move damage around. Late game, we have some kind of the classic finishers like Elsa, the Fifth Spirit, but we've got some new ones too, which are very fun. The Headless Horseman might be one of my favorite additions that I didn't see coming as far as favorite cards go. Love the art. Really glad I like the card this much. We have the Hercules that makes it so that all of your hero characters plus him, so long as he's exerted, don't take damage unless they're being challenged. So that just protects a lot of characters, but the big one it protects is Dumbo. Last card that is a new one that is added to this with Whispers in the Well is Demona. Demona is an amazing feeling card. She comes in, she exerts all of your opponent's characters, which means you get to now pick your fights to be able to kind of clear the board, and we definitely were able to use this card to advantage in a decent amount of matches. Better yet, it draws you up to 3 cards. So if you are, it draws you up to 3 cards in your hand, not up to 3 cards from your deck. So if you're empty-handed or close to it, you're gaining cards. You just want to also be aware that Demona will draw your opponent's cards as well. The library is the last kind of thing to note. It is back again as kind of a passive lore game that is difficult to deal with because it has a willpower of 8. So this is how it goes. Place your bets right now on which one you think is going to win. The big scary purple amethyst, purple ruby deck, or my princesses, and let's go into some gameplay. All right, we are going into game 1. So game 1 here, one of the things that I with the princesses want is I want to see Josh not play a lot early games so that I can get some good lore in, but I also need a couple of good early turn questers that get me benefits. So Aurora's perfect here because Aurora will get me benefits in the form of cheaper princesses. Josh had just inked and passed, which is great for me, which means that I will hopefully get an activation off of Aurora. However, Lumiere very well might change that. So the Lumiere gives all of Josh's characters +1 strength, which definitely makes the math more in his favor. I'm going to try to go wide here by playing a second Aurora and an Elanwi. And then going back to Josh's turn, he's going to play the Evasive Peter Pan. So that might get him some nice and easy lore since I don't have a huge amount of Evasives. I go back to my turn. I'm going to quest with the Aurora to be able to play the Rapunzel for 1 as opposed to 2. And I'm going to use that 2 extra lore to play the Queen Sensor Core. Chances are Josh's going to knock out my Aurora here, which he is going to do there with that Peter Pan, since Peter Pan now challenges for 2 thanks to the Lumiere, but I will still be able to get the benefit from the Sensor Core. I have 2 Queen Sensor Cores here, which would be great, gets me extra lore on each of my turns. However, I really prefer a character as opposed to the Sensor Cores, as starting to lose out on characters here is just going to mean that I can't turn them sideways because I'm not going to get any extra benefits off of the Sensor Cores. Josh had played a Genie last turn, and this turn he is going to play an Elsa, which kind of negates my trying to keep my princesses safe by keeping them upright. He's going to exert the Rapunzel, which means that my safety blanket from the Rapunzel's protection is going to go away. And then he's going to quest, putting himself up to 5. Looking at the board state here, Josh has got a much better board than me. I exerted the Sensor Core. If it was a princess or a queen, I would have been able to put it into my hand. However, it's an Alice, so it stays on top there. I'm going to be nice and just leave it revealed. I play a Mulan, and then going back to Josh's turn, he's going to play a Dumbo. So starting to talk about, I guess, the evasive side of this here. Josh has got a lot of evasives. The only character that's on his board that is not evasive right now is the Lumiere, and he's just not going to turn that sideways because the point of Lumiere is not to challenge or quest, it's to make everybody else's challenges better. I play in Alice, which would have been great if I had the Rapunzel back, because that Rapunzel and the support on everybody would have meant everybody was a little bit extra protected. It would have made Josh's challenging a little bit more difficult, but at this point in the game, Josh has successfully gained control, and he's going to solidify that control by playing Demona. So Demona exerts all of my characters, and now he gets to choose his challenges however he wants, to be able to clearly and effectively just empty out my board while keeping all of his characters with just enough damage to hurt them, but not enough to actually take them out. He quests with who's left, and that puts him up to 12. I'm going to empty my hand. Feels like that Tiana is 1 turn shy there. We're going to call the game saying that Josh wins, and if I had that Tiana earlier, I don't know, it may have made a difference. Might not have, though. Going on to game 2 here. So you can see that the Ruby Emerald list, no, not Ruby Emerald, Ruby Amethyst list is a really strong list. A lot of its strengths comes from the fact that it's got the evasive characters, so they're safer on your turn, but also the fact that it is a very punchy list. It wants to hit, and it survives those. So looking at the early game here, I get to play a Vanellope, and I have a Rapunzel out. Looking at Josh's side of the board, he just has a Diablo, so there's no real threat that he can put against my Vanellope there. We both quest up to 1. And Josh's turn to play is the turn 2 Diablo. So this Diablo's got amazing stats. It's a 3/3 for 2 that quests for 2. It's just amazing. I quest with the Rapunzel and support Vanellope. Vanellope now has support because of Alice, and she's going to quest and support Rapunzel, which is going to make the two of them a little bit extra safer because Rapunzel negates the first amount of damage that would happen to a character after they've been supported. Josh plays another Diablo and a Tinkerbell, and then I'm going to play a Ludwig. Looking at his hand, I can get rid of a non-character card, but all he has is characters, so I don't get anything there. But at least it lets me know what's coming up, which is not good for me. He's got another Diablo and an Elsa, which means most of my characters are not going to be safe here. Josh is going to quest for 4 with those Diablos. He may as well. There's not much I can do about those Diablos. And then he is going to play the 3rd Diablo. So that is 6 lore each turn just off of those Diablos unless I can get rid of them. And unless I kind of quest and support everybody, it's going to be difficult to get rid of them. And I'm just going to lose my characters too. I play a Mulan, which is going to be my way of hoping to get back in the game here by getting some good card draw off of her. I quest with Ludwig and support Vanellope, so she now hits for 3, and I take out the Diablo. The cool thing is that since she was supported, she takes no damage the first turn. However, she's vulnerable to being punched back with the Diablos this turn. And I do know that he has the Elsa. I should have quested with the Rapunzel. That was on me. He even left it revealed so that he would be nice to and show me what's there. But I'm going to make him work for it by choosing which character he wants to get rid of. He wants to get rid of the Mulan. I don't disagree with that at all, since she was kind of my way to attempt to get back into the game. And then he's going to quest up to 9. Going back to my turn here, I play a Tiana. It just kind of always feels like she's a turn late. If she had been out earlier, she could have protected me from the damage from the challenging. Not saying that Josh wouldn't have cleared my board, just saying it would have been a little bit harder. Josh quests up to 15. There's really not much I can do about all of that that's there. I've got no challengers, so we call the game there. So that is Amethyst Ruby in 2. So when you had to place your bet at the beginning, did you think the princesses were going to win or the Ruby Amethyst won? Well, my princesses did not do very well. I had a little bit more hope for them, though I might have originally thought they wouldn't take the match. I thought for sure I would have at least gotten a game. So why didn't that go so well for me? Well, the Ruby Amethyst deck has a lot of punching power, a lot of ability to deal with characters, and that evasive on a lot of the characters in the Ruby Amethyst deck is really difficult to deal with, especially for a deck like mine here that doesn't have any evasives. The characters were just small enough that it was difficult to do the removal options I wanted to with like the mini and the World's Greatest Criminal. But I still kind of could do it if I could keep my stuff, my characters that would support out long enough to be able to support my opponent's characters. It's just that didn't really ever happen. The passive lore from the Queen's Sensicore was great, but gaining one a turn is not enough. Eventually, I do have to turn my characters sideways, and that's when this deck is just going to kind of take out all of my characters. Elsa, the Fifth Spirit, and the Horseman mean like none of my stuff is really that safe to keep upright. And then Demona is obviously the clear threat of everything could go sideways, and Josh could kind of start picking his challenges wherever he wanted there. So, is my princess deck maybe meta still? I think it definitely has some good games and some bad games, and this is an example of a bad game. So I'm going to say that currently my princess deck might need a little bit of a long nap like Sleeping Beauty there, and it might come back again in the future. So is it maybe meta? Hopefully in the future. Right now, I'm going to probably say it needs some more work.